Hello, welcome to the HyperConnect workshop. This is part two of a three-part data service series of Hyper workshops. In this workshop, we'll dive into the HyperConnect client and we'll implement kind of the rest of our CRUD features for our Mario Wiki API. We'll do an update, a remove, and a list. And this will help you get a better idea of how to use HyperConnect as well as how to work with the Hyper data service. So if you would like to follow along, head over to Hyper63 workshops-node.js and sign in with your GitHub account, and we will get started. So what you need to know to take advantage of this workshop is HTTP JSON APIs, JavaScript, async await, Git, and you'll need a GitHub account. So HyperConnect is our module that you can use either in Deno or in Node.js. And this module allows you to connect to our Hyper services. In this case, we'll use our data service, but basically the whole API is REST. So you could use any language to connect to it, but we wanted to really make it easier for our JavaScript / TypeScript community. So we have this HyperConnect client. And if you want to learn more about the HyperConnect client, you can go to docs, and I'll add that to the screen, https docs.hyper.io/cloud/hyperconnect. And it gives you some documentation on how to install HyperConnect and some of the APIs for HyperConnect. Cool. So to get started, we're going to be using Hyper. So you need an account on Hyper. So you will want to go to dashboard.hyper.io, and I will open that up. And if you've taken the Hello World, you should already have an account on Hyper, but if not, you just follow the signs and it'll create an account. And once you go through the sign up process, the accounts are free. You get 3 free apps. And I've created one app from the Hello World and open that up. And the biggest thing is keys. So we want to be on the keys tab and we want to grab our connection string and just hit the icon over to the right to copy that connection string so that we can use that in our workshop. So now that we have that, we want to launch a Gitpod instance of our workshop repository. And in order to do that, what you want to do is you want to, in a new tab, type gitpod.io pound and then the repository that you want to use. In our case, we're going to do GitHub Hyper 63 workshops dash node.js, right? So I've already got a running workspace, and I'm just going to load that up. And I was working on the Hello World, so I'm going to go ahead and close those down. And what we want to do is work in our HyperConnect um, folder, data-connect. And we want to take that copied connection string that we made and we'll create a new file, .env file. And in that new file, we're going to type hyper equals, and we're going to paste that connection string into this .env file. The .env file will load our environment variables for our development environment so that we can securely connect to our Hyper data service. Okay, Once we have that, and then we want to change our directory into data-connect, and we just want to install hyperconnect. So we're going to run yarn, or you can run npm install, and then we'll say yarn add hyperconnect, or you could use npm. And then we want to say yarn start to run our API server. That's going to run on port 3000. We can open it up in preview, and we are running our API server. Awesome. So now what we want to do is um, update a document. So if you followed the Hello World um, workshop, you should already have a few character documents in your database. I think I have one, so I'm going to make sure by doing localhost 3000 curl localhost 3000 API characters character dash one. Cool. So I have one character in and I want to update it. So the way that I would do that in my API is run a curl command and send a put HTTP verb to localhost 3000, right? API characters, and then the character ID, character dash one. And this content type is going to be application dash JSON. And I'm going to create a data document on this line, and it'll be ID character dash one. And this whole document is going to replace whatever's in there. So I need to provide what, what I want to keep in there in this document. So we want to keep the ID, we want to keep the character or the type, and we want to keep the name, Mario, right? Then we want to add a description. Um, famous character in Nintendo universe. Cool. Okay, so we'll close our JSON document and add a single quote, and then run this, and we get back not implemented because we haven't implemented the code to make this work. So let's just queue that up again, and let's go into our API folder here, and we're going to do update character, and we're going to import connect from hyper connect. Then we're going to grab hyper from connect, and we're going to pass in the hyper connection string that we set up in our .env file, and then we're going to await hyper.data.update. And with this API, the update, we need to give it the ID and the document. So we're going to say request.params.id because it's passed in this URL string down here, right? And then we're going to give it the document, which comes in as request.body, like that. Then we're just going to return the result. Cool. All right, we've got that. Let's hit enter down here, and we've got OK, true. Great. So we can verify that by just doing a git curl command that we did before, and we should now see our description. Famous character in Nintendo universe. Yay. Okay. The next thing we want to do is the remove character. So we're going to remove a character by going to the remove character JS file and bringing in hyper again. So import connect from hyper connect, and then We'll create a hyper instance. And use our environment settings. And then we're going to say const result equals await hyper dot remove data dot remove, and we just need an ID. So request dot params dot ID. And we show the result. Okay. And now if we wanted to remove Mario from our database, we just do curl x delete and then localhost 3000 API characters character -1 and okay, true. Mario is gone. We can verify that by doing a curl. Mario is not found, and we can add Mario back. We change this put to a post. So we'll change this to our post. And we add Mario back. Cool. All right, now that we've implemented the update and the remove feature, next is to update or to implement the list characters feature. And to do that, we'll go into the list characters file and we will import hyperconnect. So we'll import connect from hyperconnect, and then we will create our hyper instance by calling connect and passing in the environment variable called hyper from our .env file. And we're going to get a result, which we will await hyper.data. You guessed it, list. So we call list, that's going to return all the documents from our hyper data store. So if we send the result to the client, and let's make sure that we're running our service. So we'll say yarn start, and we'll open up a new terminal here. And we'll say curl localhost 3000 API characters. That, and boom, there we go. We got a okay, true, and then our docs node, and it returned all our characters. So if we wanted just to return just the array, we could say results.doc, docs, that, and that returns just our character array. Now, one of the things is if we're building a Mario Wiki API that can have games and characters, we need to kind of filter on the document type because we want to make sure we return a list of characters. One way to do that is we get all the docs from the data service and then we just call a filter and then test if doc.type equals character. That, and then that would give us all the characters. Now, we may want to filter on the database. Using the list command, we can do a couple of things. Because we're prefixing our ID with character for all the character type documents, we can do a start key and an end key. So we can say start key equals character, like that, and end key equals character dash and um, Z or something like that, right? And then we can just do the results docs. And that gives us our docs. Um, we can also specify specific keys with this list command. So we can say keys and say character dash one, etc. And just add all the keys that we want to pull and run that. And then that will give us a list of our misspelled universe. No good. Maybe we can update that. Um, give us all of our documents. So, and then other things you can do is limit. We could say limit of 10 for like pagination, things like that. Um, and we can also say descending true. If I can spell it correctly, descending true. And that would list the characters in reverse or of their identifier. So that's hyper.data.list. In the next workshop, we'll cover hyper.data.query, which allows you to do more advanced query functions, as well as bulk, which allows you to upload multiple documents or update multiple documents or remove a batch of documents with just one call. So those are some cool features. So check it out in our hyper query workshop. And thanks for your time.